Dragon Dogma 2 had recently just came out and it was my first Dragon Dogma game. So it was rather interesting. Part of the interesting things I liked and disliked about the game. And here's my review on it.
Arisen, if thou seekest to behold this world in its true aspect, abandon thy reason.
First thing I'd like to bring up is how in-depth the character customization is. Like, holy you can make legitimately any person you can think of and it realistically looks accurate as that blew my mind on how good the character customization was. The combat was nice and fluid, but it also had a few things I found fascinating. One thing I liked a little, and another thing I wished was present. One of the interesting things was that you can grab enemies and chuck them around. I was surprised you can even do this, and I liked it a lot. Which brings me straight into my next like about the combat. It's the ability to latch onto enemies and stab them repeatedly, wearing them down till they fall to the ground, or even pin them down to the ground and stab them profusely, finishing off the job you started. Another interesting thing about the combat was that when you die and you choose to load from the last save option, you lose a portion of your max health, which was rather interesting because I don't think I've ever seen a game give a punishment for loading your last save. It created an interesting dynamic that I had to get used to and work around. All in all, I liked all that about the combat, but the one thing I wish the combat had was a lock-on button. Just turning the camera to face an enemy was so annoying. But that was my only complaint I had about the combat. Side quests are time sensitive, so thinking you can save all side quests before the final boss or after beating the game, sadly, you can't. And I found that interesting, and I quite liked it, because it's realistic. If a quest needs you to save someone from a pack of harpies, then realistically, it's over for them, literally. And I like that the game has that essence of urgency to it. However, concerning side quests, the only other interesting thing about them is that they're not shown on the map, but instead have to be found and triggered, which was interesting, because usually they're displayed on the map for most games, but not for this one. You have to find them and run the risk of missing out on some if you don't explore the world. Personally, I would have liked if they were shown on the map instead of having to run around in hopes of finding one. And one of the last things that I liked was that you and your main pawn can be any class you want. So you can always mix and match what your party needs, and you don't need to worry about progression resetting because it will stay the same regardless. And also, you can keep augments obtained from vocations equipped. So it's best to level up all vocations at some point, which I like because I love the grind even if it can get really repetitive at times and end up making me bored or tired of it. Now, when it came to the story, I found it alright. Since this was my first introduction to Dragon Dogma, I'm probably missing out on some major lore that would have impacted my thoughts and feelings towards the story, rather than simply finding it just okay. Now, as of right now, I'm on chapter 12, so about a little more ways to go into the game. But who knows? Maybe the next few chapters hits the fan and I become enthralled in the story. I'll give an update when I do beat the game and tell you guys if it changed or not.
Might you not please direct to our
This next thing was a big surprise for me. There was no traditional fast travel option. You know in most RPGs how you can fast travel to any major town or city all with just one click of a button? Well, in this game, you don't necessarily get that option. You can still fast travel, but only through ferry stones that you'll have to find, or by ox cart. And ox carts are slow as You can always doze off in them to pass the time though, but the cart might get attacked along the way, so it comes with risks. Now, if you're hoping for a mount you can eventually get, sadly you can't. There aren't any mounts in this game, and both of these things were rather interesting design choices. The director even stated that if you don't travel in a game, then chances are the game you're playing is probably boring. And in Dragon Dogma 2, they wanted players to have fun with traveling, to take in the world and see the beauty of it, which I can appreciate. Now, what exactly made traveling on foot funner? In my opinion, it was the constant talking to your pawns, making you feel less lonely on the road, or them helping you out by guiding you to the place you need to be, or finding treasure and ingredients for you, as well as giving the Arisen a little pick-me-up when they get tired. All of that was interesting to me. However, I still would have liked to ride a horse to get around faster, cause god damn was it slow. And that's my review on Dragon Dogma 2. It's a pretty fun game that I would recommend, but only if the idea of running around everywhere doesn't bother you. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have any recommendations for a game I should review next, let me know in the comments down below. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.